That's right. I'm a big believer in education, so I'm glad the fact that you also set up our three-tier company structure as you suggested, and you set up the three-tier company structure for us.
That's very good. That's a very common structure for people. A lot of times folks will look at, a holding co and one or two companies underneath to begin. As people build portfolios, I've seen folks get several companies and several properties under there. And that's the whole idea for most investors, is to sort of build a portfolio of properties that they are relying on. They're getting away from their job and starting to work for their own structure, getting some cash flow and some investment ideas and all that sort of good stuff. So good for you. That's great.
Thank you. So because of that, I have a few questions, if I may. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make sure, maybe clear how I'm not sure if you remember, I was focusing on rent to own, and I set up two contracts as you mentioned. One with a lease option contract and then the other one is option contract.
Right.
And the lease contract, I put a property management company, and then option contract I put real estate company. Right. However, I heard the other day that as you know, that my option consideration money is not refundable. Mm-hmm. But I heard I heard from now on, I cannot put that as on the contract that it's not refundable. And also, if I take that option money, I should put that option money in the trust with the lawyer during the term. So is that a new regulation?
Well, not that I know of. I'm not sure where you heard it or who said it or why. It's sort of like saying, I heard that a certain car is very good. I mean, it's just, I guess, a matter of opinion. But when you're dealing with that, you certainly can have a provision in the contract where, the option fee is non-refundable. It's certainly allowable to do that. As you can imagine, there may be a number of bases for a court to set that aside, in a matter of what we would call equity or fairness. If someone has done a salvage lease option, maybe the tenant buyer, and, despite the fact that he's failed to get his credit together and sort of solve his problems, and despite the fact he's got signed agreements that says, hey, everything's, non-refundable, if he goes to court and says, Your Honor, they set me up to fail, this was unfair, it was malicious, and they set it up in a way where I could never possibly succeed, please give me relief. You might find a court is sympathetic to that and will struggle to find a basis to give him some relief, to give him some money back. So, I've always been a proponent of rent-to-owns, and sandwich lease options are very popular. They can be kind of tricky and difficult. Rent-to-owns are a little bit more easy in the sense that you or your corporation own the land. Sandwich lease options, you're buying and selling land you don't own, and that's complicated. So if you're doing those types of transactions, in my view, there's a few things you can do to make sure it will close. One of them is to not be greedy, to not have a big price differential between the first contract with the owner and the second contract with the tenant.